Which is better, the Samsung Galaxy A23 5G or the TCL Stylus 5G? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Now, definitely take a look at the various links in the video description to see the most up-to-date pricing and availability for both of these devices. But keep in mind that with the Galaxy A23 5G, this phone is offered at more carriers, and in addition to that, Samsung is offering it factory unlocked. But at least at the time of me making this video, you can only get the TCL Stylus 5G from T-Mobile and Metro by T-Mobile, so keep that in mind. Now, these two devices have many similarities and differences, and I'm looking forward to going over all of that throughout this video. The first difference that you probably noticed is the display size. So with the TCL Stylus 5G, we do have a larger display here at 6.81 inches compared to a smaller 6.6-inch display for the Galaxy A23 5G. And you can see when holding the two up side by side, we definitely do get more screen real estate here with the TCL Stylus 5G, and that especially comes in handy for content consumption as your social media apps will be larger and you'll be able to view videos more clearly in a more immersive experience. But in addition to that, this phone does have a built-in stylus, which I'll be showing you more of later in the video. But having such a large canvas here with this device definitely allows you to get a lot more usability out of the stylus itself. Now with the Galaxy A23 5G, we're getting a PLS LCD display running at 120 Hz. So we're getting a very fast and smooth refresh rate here with this device. Now with the TCL Stylus 5G, we have an IPS LCD display, but this display does run at 60 Hz. So we have a much slower refresh rate with this device. Now overall, when it comes to usability of either of the two phones, the refresh rate isn't necessarily that big of a deal, but at the same time, having that really fast refresh rate with the Galaxy A23 5G definitely does make this phone feel a bit more premium compared to the TCL. Now with both phones, we do have 1080p displays. With the Samsung, we have a PPI 400 compared to a PPI 395 with the TCL. With the Galaxy A23 5G, we have a 20:9 aspect ratio compared to a slightly taller 20.5:9 aspect ratio with the TCL Stylus 5G. And then finally, with the A23 5G, we have an 82.5% screen-to-body ratio compared to a slightly better 84.9% screen-to-body ratio with the TCL Stylus 5G. Now these two devices do have different implementations of the front-facing cameras. So for example, with the Samsung, we do have a water drop notch housing an 8-megapixel front-facing camera, whereas with the TCL, we have a hole punch housing a 13-megapixel front-facing camera. There's also some differences when it comes to the amount of storage that we're getting. So with the Galaxy A23 5G, we're getting 64 gigabytes of internal storage, but with the TCL Stylus 5G, we get double the amount of storage at 128 gigabytes. Now both of these phones do support microSD card expansion, and that's definitely really convenient if you want to offload some photos and videos, for example. But it's definitely nice that we're getting so much storage here with the TCL. That's definitely something that I could see really coming in handy for many people. But that being said though, getting 64 gigs of storage with the Samsung is still a decent amount for a lower end phone. Now both of these devices do have fingerprint sensors on the power buttons, and in addition to that, they both support face unlock. But let me now do a demonstration of how the fingerprint sensors work on both of these phones. So we'll try first with the Samsung. There we go, very quick and responsive. One more time. There we go, so that works very well. And then we'll give the TCL a try. There we go, very quick. So definitely really good, fast, and reliable fingerprint sensors on both of these phones. And the placement of it being on the power button is also very convenient. Now both of these devices do have quad camera setups, and what's interesting is the megapixel counts of all of the cameras on both of these phones are exactly the same. So both phones have 50 megapixel main cameras, 5 megapixel ultra wide angle cameras, 2 megapixel depth sensing cameras, and 2 megapixel macro cameras for close-up images. Now here's how things look on the camera apps on both devices. This is with the main cameras on both phones right now. Then from here, we can go over to the ultra wide angle cameras. And with that, we can fit a lot more content into the frame. So definitely a really nice feature. We can then head over to the More tab on the Samsung and the Extras menu on the TCL and access the macro cameras on these devices. So again, with the macro cameras, you can get very close up and have things be in really good detail. Definitely a nice feature to have here. And then from there, we can head over to portrait mode on these phones. to get these nice blurred out backgrounds that I know that everybody's a big fan of. Then we can flip around to the front facing cameras in both phones, and we can take portrait selfies, or if you want to, you can also take standard selfies. So both phones really do give us a variety of different camera hardware features, which is a great thing to see, especially considering that these are both relatively low-end devices. Now, as far as RAM and processors go, both phones have 4 GB of RAM, but they do run different processors. So with the Galaxy A23 5G, we have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 695, and then with the TCL Stylus 5G, we have the MediaTek Dimensity 700. So with both of these phones, as the names of the phones do imply, they do support 5G connectivity. Now at this point in 2022, you can certainly get by without 5G, but on the other hand, if you're going to go through all the effort of buying a brand new device, you might as well get one that supports your carrier's latest and greatest network. Now, I did run benchmark tests using Geekbench 5 to give you an idea of how the processors compare in these two phones, and you can see the scores right here. I'll definitely let the numbers speak for themselves, but without a doubt, the Galaxy A23 5G is the more powerful phone of the two. That being said though, the TCL certainly does a decent job keeping up, and overall, from my experience of using both phones, I think both of them will definitely get the job done for the majority of people out there, especially if you're just looking for a reliable device to go on social media, do phone calls, text messages, watch some videos here and there, things like that. But if you are somebody that spends all day on your phone, maybe you're constantly doing different things on your device, then I would recommend going for a phone that is more powerful. Now with the Samsung, we have a 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery compared to a slightly smaller 4,000 milliamp hour internal battery with the TCL. But with both of these devices, you should expect to get pretty good battery life, definitely giving you a full day, if not 2 days of usage. And then both phones do feature NFC, which is really awesome. So if you do like to make mobile contactless payments using tap and pay, using services such as Google Pay, for example, then you can do that here with either of these two phones. And that's definitely a feature that I always use with phones that support it. Now, a bonus feature with the TCL Stylus 5G that we don't have with the Galaxy A23 5G is a built-in stylus. So what I like about the stylus with this device is that not only does it work well, but it tucks neatly into the phone when you don't need it. So if you buy this device and end up never using the stylus, there's really no downside to having the built-in stylus. It's not like it makes the phone thicker or makes the phone less convenient to use. You know, sure, the phone has a massive display, but there are more benefits to having a massive display than just having a lot of space to use the stylus in. But this stylus does feature a pop-out, pop-in design here, and then once you take the stylus out of the phone, you get a bunch of different suggestions here for things you can do with it. For example, this is one of my favorites, e-signature. So if you want to sign a document, this really makes that much easier than with any phone that wouldn't have a stylus. And of course, you can also go into the Play Store and find all kinds of different third-party apps that support styluses. But if you want to go from here and write a note, for example, there we go. There we go. So it is very responsive, you know, compared to a higher end stylus device such as the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. You're of course not getting nearly the level of precision and also usability with this stylus, but at the same time, for this being a lower end Android phone, this is really a nice feature to have. And again, if you end up not using the stylus or using it like once a month, that's really not a problem at all, because when you're not using the stylus, you can just stow it right into the phone, and then you never have to think about it again. But taking a look at the rest of the hardware of these two devices, taking a look at the left side here of both phones, they both have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. Then on the right side, they both have volume up, volume down, and then also the fingerprint sensors, which are also the power buttons. Then up top here, both phones have noise canceling microphones. And then on the bottom of both phones, they both have 3.5mm headphone jacks, microphones, USB-C ports for charging and data transfer, speakers, and then of course, with the TCL Stylus 5G, we do have that stylus. And then, taking a look at the back of both devices, they're both relatively boring, I guess. They both have just kind of a standard plastic material here. I definitely recommend pairing up either of these two phones with a case if you happen to buy one of them, because I can definitely see the plastic picking up a lot of scratches as time goes on, but there's not much going on in the back of the phones, really just the camera modules, and that's it. So in conclusion, which of these two phones is the better choice of the two? I think overall, if I had to choose, I would probably go for the TCL, and that's just because of the stylus. In pretty much every other way, other than having double the storage, the Galaxy A23 5G is the better choice of the two, considering that it does have a more powerful processor, and in my opinion, it has better cameras, and the display is also better with that faster refresh rate. But on the other hand, it is really convenient having the stylus be built into the TCL, so for me at least, I would give up certain features with the A23 5G in exchange for having the stylus feature with the TCL Stylus 5G. But most importantly, I'm really curious to know what you think of these two phones. Which one do you prefer? And if you happen to own one of these already, I'm definitely curious to know what you think of it. Are you satisfied with your purchase, or do you wish you would have bought something else instead? But definitely let me know. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. This is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next video.